and Matt Sedillo.
Because I remember learning about the Alamo like a little kid and being told, "Do you know the Alamo?" Because I remember learning about the Alamo like a little kid and being told, "Go back to Mexico." Do you know the Alamo? Because I remember learning about the Alamo like a little kid and being told, "Go back to Mexico and eat your tacos." I remember learning about the Alamo. You hear it all the time. Well, I'm not a racist. I just believe in the rule of law. What part of the legal don't you get? What I don't get is how they do a backyard invasion. Now want to complain about something called illegal immigration. You know, folks being in places they don't belong. These people, with the legality of immigrants, the criminality of workers, liable criminals, I feel, should never have left home. Their names were Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Monroe! Where are your documents? You hear it all the time. Well, if they were real men, they would stay in their own country and fix it yet. When the Mexican presidential election was stolen in 2006, the people took to the streets, shutting down the Capitol for 5 months, pushed not one, but 2 elections, and we didn't do a goddamn thing. Don't tell me Mexicans don't know how to fight. That same year, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Mexicans poured into American streets in protests organized in less than 2 weeks. Don't tell me Mexicans are organized, and don't tell me all this talk is divisive. Because unless you're a racist, my pride is not divisive. Unless you're a racist, my dignity is not divisive, because otherwise you're actually arguing that I should be without it. And another thing, my family, my community, we are not an ethnic study. No, we are a course in human history, because we are as real and as valid and as universal as anybody. So for anyone who says me this divisive, or was it racist when I said I'm proud to be Latino, well, get ready, buddy, because I said this. From Caracas to the Pampas to the Chiapas to the streets of East Los Angeles, where there's so many as one of us, I say viva, viva, viva America Latina. Now there are some who will tell you what you just witnessed was hate speech. Nonsense. I love everybody, so long as everybody loves you. But wait a minute, man. The minute you start breaking families or calling our children anchor babies, then yeah, motherfucker, we got some problems. Because I hate racism, and I hate economic imperialism, and I hate transnational capitalism, because I am a communist, soy un comunista, and that is what I am. I make no more apologies than I do for being Mexican. But yeah, these people aren't racist. They just believe in the rule of law. Or illegal what you get yet. Go to any one of the rallies, like, go back to Mexico, do your drugs, and eat your tacos, so really not full of bullshit like, remember the Alamo. Well, I do remember the Alamo. Like, I remember Jim and Boo. Like, I remember the 10th Offensive. Like, I remember the Battle of Little Big One and the Wars of Pontiac. Like, I remember Nat Turner's Midnight Ride. I remember Cubans and Angolans shot the forces of apartheid from African skies. Like, I remember the Alamo. I remember Magellan's watery grave with the Alamo Mactan. When we were not even those Filipinos, with no more than bamboo bowls, who were Spanish conquistadors in steel-plate armor and drowned their asses. Less than 3 feet of water, like I remember. The Alamo and the servants of Romero, El Grito de Hidalgo, the quiet freedom song through the sword of Simon Bolivar, like I remember. The Alamo, I remember the Mexican Revolution, I remember the Haitian Revolution, I remember the Irish Revolution, I remember the Iranian Revolution, I remember the Algerian Revolution, rocking the Casbah, like I remember. The Alamo, I remember the Cuban Revolution, I remember the Grand Revolution, I remember the Chinese Revolution, I remember the Vietnamese Revolution, like I remember the Russian Revolution, I remember every piece of people's or anti-colonial history. So yeah, you racist son of a bitch, I do remember the Alamo. I just did that shit a little differently. Normally I post myself and my publishers out of town, so do you like to hear what I hear? Here we go. This is my family who's ever taught to me. I climb my family's tree like killing each other. Death of the blind. Piecing together what it meant to be Mexican, what it meant to be American, broken home under joint custody in historically and still Mexican section of Greater Los Angeles. My father, raised by the bubble, raised by parents who go months without speaking, raised me under the influence of the bottle. On his raised fist, on his raised voice, he raised a stuttering and shell-shocked child, horrified and contemptuous. My mother, raised with love, raised with encouragement, raised a second born, a first generation, a beautiful and curious woman, raised me with a library card, raised a boy genius with a raised hand, had a raised voice, I raised questions in the historically and so Mexican section of Greater Los Angeles. I learned how to love, and I learned how to hate in the same place at the same time. By 5, I quote Shakespeare, roll the punches, identify the instruments of orchestra, and falls into the sounds of gunshots. Pretend there were flowers. The sounds of my father screaming, pretended it was a television under the cover of blankets in the deepest, darkest, loneliest stretch of the night by a flashlight. I learned how to read, or pretended to sleep to avoid life. By 5, I memorized the names and terms of all the presidents. It became something of obsession, from something to someone just not sure who. By 8, thinking to be proud of me, I told my father that I could see myself in that Oval Office before he sat me down and said, son, we're Mexican. This is America. That's never going to happen. This is what my family's ever taught to me. I climbed that family tree bitter and thorny. Heard stories of how my great-grandfather died sick of the cholera of black when he got slaving away in the coal mines of America. He had somehow died back in Mexico. Read a book about something called the Mexican Repatriation Act, and I began to piece together. We brought him here, and we sent him back. Those stories of my grandfather, me and my grandmother made that much clearer, and I began to understand that our entire family had been deported into this country in the 1930s for no reason other than their last name and the color of their skin. I began to piece together how we never born had that, never happiness. I have spent the better part of my life understanding that oppression runs through my veins, and that's our history that goes down easy. So the boy genius and would-be presidents now began to hate this country and all that it stood for and all that it trampled over. The racism that our mother's father drove its borders, the poverty and the misery of my father's father to become an alcoholic, that bitter legacy that never goes down easy, that drove my father and I to become alcoholics. Because I hated all of it, its mindless consumption, its mindless labor, the pointlessness of a box from one corner of the room to another, the misery of living paycheck to paycheck from mindless slave to next month's rent. When I lost that job, I shot through my days aimlessly, beaten down by the summer heat, like a stray dog wandering the summer streets, and I remember my mother reading me Shakespeare. And all that I was supposed to be. Some kind of genius. Some kind of prodigy, and I'm homeless, and I hated this country and all that it stood for. A government supposedly born by the people that never had anything to offer but debt, with jobs that robbed my time and energy while meaning and value and took until there was nothing left in this cruel joke of a meritocracy which shall see poised, guiltless, and indifferent to lead me to my death. Yes, I hated all of it. But nowhere near as much as I hate myself. And I found myself drunk in the base, barely able to stand, barely still a man, walking, talking, drunk in coma, sleepwalking through a childhood sanctuary. I found myself drunk at the library, applying for a card. But I came back the next day, and the next, and the next, and the next, and I read, and I read, and I read, and I began to see the true history of this country. The real nature of its economy was never taught to me. And never been a question of peoples or borders or a new world order. It wasn't the white man. It wasn't my dad. It wasn't my old boss. No personal failure. No global conspiracy. No Illuminati. The very nature of the global economy. The very nature of private property. And I read, and I read, and I read our remarks, our angles, I read Lenin, and I began to agree with what I saw for the first time that I wasn't alone, that it wasn't my fault, that I was a worker, that I was working class, that I was proletarian. So very proud of it, a boy genius who dreamed of becoming president, but grew into a man much more likely to write his little congressman, demand his resignation, unless he can provide a country worth living in, one free of racism, one free of prisons, one free of exploitation and oppression of women, one free from the social Darwinism that makes beasts of us all. Free! 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 Thank God Almighty! Free! There's no capitalism. It's the dustbin of history. The history of my family. The meaning of my life. The truth. about the world and my place within it was never taught to me. Because there are some things you have to learn for yourself.